From players being arrested during a game to fans stealing the Stanley Cup, these are the weirdest moments for every NHL team. You only get one first goal in franchise history, and Utah's went into their own net. On a delayed penalty, Utah pulled their goalie for the extra attacker. But at the blue line, Dylan Guenther mishandled the puck, and this happened.
Dylan Guenther, and he's got to hurry up and get this puck. The net is empty, and it trickles in.
That's right. The first goal in franchise history was an own goal. Never change, Coyotes. It was supposed to be the coolest entrance in NHL mascot history. Wild Wing was set to leap through a ring of flames, but instead, he tripped, fell headfirst into the fire, and his costume caught on fire in front of everyone. He was pulled out, extinguished, and somehow returned later in the game like nothing happened. You know your franchise is struggling when the city threatens to change the locks. In December 2021, the Arizona Coyotes were hours away from hosting a home game when Glendale officials locked the team out of Gila River Arena for unpaid bills. The city claimed the team owed over $1.3 million in taxes and late payments. The Coyotes blamed it on human error. Fans called it what it was: one of the most embarrassing financial blunders in NHL history. And just months later, the city kicked him out permanently. The lesson of the day: the IRS always wins. The puck dropped and then disappeared. In Game 3 of the 1988 Stanley Cup Final, the Bruins hosted the Oilers in a packed Boston Garden with no air conditioning.
Right now, guys, it's 85 degrees down here.
Between the heat and humidity, fog started rising off the ice like a horror movie. Players lost sight of the puck. Passes vanished into the mist.
Every shot is a potential goal.
At one point, the officials stopped the game just so players could skate around to clear the fog with their movement. This wasn't just a hockey game, this was a weather event. Nothing sums up Sabres' chaos quite like a 40,000-pound screen crashing to the ice. In 1996, during routine maintenance at Memorial Auditorium, the massive center-hung Jumbotron suddenly fell straight onto the rink. Luckily, like most of their home games, not many people were inside. But the impact shattered the boards, cracked the ice, and destroyed the scoreboard beyond repair. It all started with a mascot taunt and ended in mutilation. During a 2003 Battle of Alberta, Flames mascot Harvey the Hound was doing what he does best, annoying the Oilers from right behind their bench. But Edmonton head coach Craig McTavish had enough. He turned around, grabbed Harvey by the head, and ripped out his giant red tongue, tossing it into the crowd like a piece of trash. For once, Harvey was speechless, as Calgary's fluffy mascot became the victim of the NHL's weirdest mascot moment ever. Justice for Harvey! They lost both goalies. Their season was on the line. So they called in the guy who drives a Zamboni. The Hurricanes were in Toronto when both James Reimer and Petr Mrazek went down injured. With no one left, Carolina turned to David Ayres, a 42-year-old Zamboni driver who had never played in the NHL.
Emergency support goaltender will be forced into service here for the Hurricanes.
He worked for the Leafs minor league affiliate, and now he was playing against them.
Not exactly color coordinated, but that doesn't matter.
Ayres gave up goals on his first 2 shots, then shut the door. He stopped the next 8. And the Hurricanes stunned the hockey world with a 6-3 win.
And the capacity crowd here, all the Leaf fans, they're cheering for Ayres.
The crowd didn't know whether to cheer or cry, and Ayres instantly became a cult hero. And trust me, this right here is the weirdest NHL moment you've never heard of. During Game 4 of the 1988 Stanley Cup Finals, the Bruins hosted the Oilers, and this happened.
Puck drifts away from you. This goes to an And
we have a power failure here. The lights are out here in the Boston Garden.
Fans sat in total darkness as emergency lights flickered over the Garden. The game was suspended, and confusion reigned. But here's the weird part. They never resumed it. The NHL declared the game a complete no contest and just moved on like it never happened. But 2 years later, the unthinkable happened again. The same two teams met in the 1990 Stanley Cup Final, and then…
Now, I can't believe this, folks. I can't believe this. We were here in the playoffs 2 years ago, and we have got a power failure.
Once again, the power went out during a tie game in Boston.
But you better believe it, we're in the third overtime, in the dark.
This time, the lights came back on, and the Oilers won 3-2 in triple overtime. What this mascot did after a game nearly got him arrested. After a Blackhawks game, a fan attacked Tommy Hawk, putting the mascot in a headlock. Bad move. Tommy broke free and body slammed him to the ground as stunned fans recorded the chaos. The video instantly went viral, and Tommy Hawk became a legend not for what he wore, but for what he threw. It was supposed to be a routine game, until a blindside punch changed everything. 2 weeks earlier, Colorado's Steve Moore laid a hard hit on Vancouver's Marcus Naslund. The Canucks didn't forget about it. Todd Bertuzzi hunted Moore down from behind, and in the ugliest move in NHL history, sucker punched him in the back of the head, then drove him face first into the ice. Moore suffered 3 fractured vertebrae and never played another game. Bertuzzi was suspended indefinitely, and to make matters worse, the case went to court. And court documents allege Bertuzzi's attack was ordered by head coach Mark Crawford. Most teams use goal horns. Columbus brought a Civil War weapon. In 2007, the Blue Jackets unveiled their new home arena gimmick, a full-sized working cannon that fires a deafening blast every time the team scores.
Brandon Dubinsky stepped up.
Well, he's been a glue guy. Oh, that
Gotcha.
And the first time it went off, everyone ducked for cover.
In front, scores! Bjorkstrand, I believe, tipped it. What an effort. Dzingel set it in front.
Now it's a beloved tradition, but at first, it felt more like a battlefield than a hockey game. Most players get suspended for something they do on the ice, but one Dallas player decided to switch things up. Stars winger Sean Avery stepped in front of cameras and delivered the strangest soundbite in NHL history.
It's become like a common thing in the NHL for guys to fall in love with my sloppy seconds.
He was referring to Flames defenseman Dion Phaneuf dating actress Alicia Cuthbert, Avery's ex-girlfriend. The NHL suspended him immediately. His teammates refused to defend him, and the Stars basically told him to not come back. Most fans throw hats on the ice. Detroit fans throw raw octopus. The tradition started in 1952 when two brothers who owned a fish market hurled an octopus onto the ice. One tentacle for each win needed to secure the Stanley Cup at the time. But things soon got out of hand. Soon, fans were flinging multiple octopuses per game. It got so intense that TSA had to remind fans not to smuggle seafood onto planes headed for playoff games. And when the Red Wings octopus handler swung one over his head during a game, the NHL responded with a $10,000 fine and a full-on ban on octopus twirling. Most goal celebrations involved teammates. Florida's involved a dead rodent. In 1995, Panthers captain Scott Mellanby killed a rat in the locker room with his hockey stick, then went out and scored 2 goals with it. Teammates called it the rat trick, and fans took it way too literally. Soon after every Panthers goal, the ice was flooded with plastic rats, hundreds of them flying from the stands like some kind of rodent meteor shower. At one point, the league had to delay games just to shovel rats off the ice. In 2024, the organization fully embraced the tradition by signing Brad Marchand. Most mascots throw t-shirts into the crowd. This one threw away his job. Twice. In 2017, Tim Smith, the man inside Bailey the Lion, was sued by a Staples Center employee who claimed Smith groped him in an elevator while still in costume. Ugh! The case was quietly settled and the LA Kings responded by saying that there wasn't any merit. That was until 2020, when a former ICE crew member filed a new lawsuit accusing Smith of sexual harassment and inappropriate touching. She claimed that after reporting him, she was fired, then rehired, and the harassment continued. Making matters worse, Tim Smith had full control over the team's hiring practices. The Kings suspended Smith, launched an investigation, and eventually cut ties for good. It was supposed to be a lighthearted mascot skit. Instead, it looked like a felony. During a 2017 home game, Nordy was blindfolded and told to hit a piñata held by Blackhawks mascot Tommy Hawk. But Nordy missed the piñata and hit Tommy repeatedly. The announcer egged him on, and the video went viral.
Nordy, you hit the piñata! Keep swinging! Keep swinging! Keep swinging!
But the NHL wasn't laughing. They stepped in, and the Wild were forced to apologize. Winning the cup is hard. Stealing it, apparently not that much harder.
The Stanley Cup has been stolen.
The Stanley Cup has been stolen.
The Montreal Canadiens were playing the defending champion Blackhawks in Chicago. The Hawks had the cup on glass-encased display in Old Chicago Stadium, much to the dislike of 25-year-old Kenneth Killander, a seriously devoted Habs fan who made the trip to the Windy City. He picked the lock on the Stanley Cup's display case, bribed a security guard with $250, and tried to walk out. Security caught him near the exit. When asked why he did it, Killander told them, "I'm taking it back to Montreal where it belongs." Killander gave a whole new meaning to bringing the cup home. Throwing catfish on the ice is a Predators tradition, but one fan took it across state lines.
A hockey fan is in big trouble after throwing a dead catfish on the ice.
During the Stanley Cup final in Pittsburgh, Predators superfan Jacob Waddell snuck a raw catfish into the arena by hiding it in his compression shorts. Is that a catfish, or are you glad to see me? He threw it on the ice during Game 1 and was immediately tackled by security. Pittsburgh police actually charged him with possessing an instrument of crime and issued a formal mugshot. The story exploded. The charges were dropped. And of course, Waddell got a hero's welcome in Nashville. After the charges were dropped, Waddell was invited to throw another catfish in Game 3, this time legally. It was supposed to be a celebration until the ice became a war zone. The Devils were riding a 13-game win streak, but on one infamous day in 2022, everything unraveled. Facing the Maple Leafs, New Jersey scored 2 potential goals, and both were disallowed for goalie interference. And then they reversed a third goal, and the fans lost it. Full drinks, food, and trash came flying from the stands. The game was paused. The Leafs left the bench. Devils players tried to calm the crowd, but it was too late. In 1996, the Islanders were sold to a wealthy businessman. There was just one problem. He wasn't wealthy or a businessman. John Spano convinced the team, the NHL, and the media that he was a Texas billionaire. He talked the talk, signed the papers, and was even welcomed as the team's new owner. But behind the scenes, Spano forged bank documents, lied about his assets, and talked his way into buying an NHL franchise without actually having the money. The Islanders were forced to take the team back, and Spano went to prison. Home ice advantage? Not when the Elephants have the building. In both 1937 and 1950, the New York Rangers were kicked out of Madison Square Garden during the Stanley Cup Final, cause the circus had it booked. In 1937, they won Game 1 at MSG, then had to play the next 4 games in Detroit. They lost Game 5 in a 3-0 shutout, scoring just 3 goals across 4 straight away games. And it happened again in 1950. The entire Cup Final, home and away, was played in Toronto and Detroit. Team drama usually stays in the locker room. The Senators ended up on YouTube. In 2018, several Ottawa players took an Uber and didn't realize the driver was secretly recording them. The footage? A full-on roast of their own team and coaches.
Do you notice that when he runs the video, like if you actually do pay attention, he doesn't ever teach you anything.
They trashed the penalty kill, made fun of assistant coach Marty Raymond, and joked about how little they paid attention in meetings. Apologies were issued. Tensions rose. And within months, nearly every player in that Uber was traded or gone. Hockey fights are common, but the Flyers and Senators turned a game into a full-blown melee. In a regular season matchup at the Wachovia Center, tensions from a previous game boiled over. The result? A chaotic brawl featuring multiple fights, including a goalie fight, and a record-breaking 419 penalty minutes. The game saw 65 penalties, 15 fighting majors, and 21 game misconducts. The NHL responded by suspending one player and fining the coaches. The fans came for a brawl, and a hockey game broke out. The Penguins were pressing. Then, something completely unhinged happened in the Rangers' crease. During a 2016 game at MSG, Henrik Lundqvist collided with a teammate and expected a stoppage. When the refs didn't blow the whistle, he took matters into his own hands and tossed the goal off its moorings mid-play to stop the Penguins' rush. The ref immediately called delay of game. Pittsburgh scored 3 goals in 99 seconds, and Lundqvist never came back for the third period. It was supposed to be a pre-game stunt. It turned into a full-blown rescue operation. Just before puck drop, beloved mascot Sharky was supposed to rappel from the rafters, tear down a fake Detroit banner, and drop to the ice. But something went terribly wrong. His jersey got tangled in the rappel rig, and suddenly, Sharky was dangling 50 feet above the ice. Fans were laughing at first. Players were confused. Then came the crash pads. Sharky hung there for 20 minutes, legs numb, arms frozen, while riggers scrambled to pull him up before the game could even start. Seattle's mascot tried to start a fight and ended up on the wrong end of a wrestling move. At the 2024 Winter Classic, Kraken mascot Bowie confronted Paul Bissonnette live on TNT, still fuming from months of online insults. Wearing oversized boxing gloves, Bowie threw fake punches. Bissonnette responded by hurling his mic, chasing him with a kick me sign, and then delivering a full-on people's elbow. The whole thing aired live and instantly became one of the weirdest mascot moments in NHL history. It started with a whistle, and then all hell broke loose. In 1972, the Blues were in Philly, headed to the locker room down 2-0. St. Louis coach Al Arbour shouted at officials over a controversial goal. A hostile crowd started throwing trash at the players. But then, a fan threw a punch, and Bob Plager jumped the glass. Suddenly, it was players versus fans versus Philly police.
This is getting very serious now.
Yes, it is.
This is getting very serious.
Sticks were swinging, fists were flying, cops drew nightsticks. The Blues ultimately came back and won, but 3 players and coach Al Arbour were arrested after the game. I mean, you go to Philly expecting a fight, just not one with the cops. It looked like a routine save, but then chaos unfolded. On New Year's Eve, the Lightning were locked in a tight game against the Canadiens when defenseman Daryl Radish fired a shot that was smothered by Montreal's goalie. Or so everyone thought. Tampa's players coasted toward the bench. The in-arena music kicked in, but the ref never blew the whistle. The puck was still live. Everyone relaxed except one Canadiens player.
There was no whistle. What happened there? I was fooled. Everybody was fooled.
From the far end of the ice, Jonathan Kovacevic fired into an empty net, and the refs let it count. Needless to say, Tampa was furious, but the NHL stood by their call. The Maple Leafs were already cursed. 57 years without a cup, 6 straight Game 7 losses. Then, Drake showed up. Before Game 7 against the Florida Panthers in 2025, Toronto's most famous fan placed a $1 million bet on the Leafs to win. The moment he posted it, fans groaned. Every team he supports, bets on, or wears loses. Toronto got blown out 6-1. The curse was alive, and so was the drought. There's losing, and then there's losing with Drake on your side. It was overtime in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but the goalie, who had played every minute, was suddenly nowhere to be found. Canucks fans were stunned to see backup goalie Danny Saborin take to the ice to start overtime. Where was Roberto Luongo?
This has been one of the most unusual, most curious playoff games I've ever seen. Roberto Luongo is not at the bench. He's nowhere to be seen.
Turns out, Vancouver's star goaltender was in the bathroom, and not just for a quick break. He was mid-business when the puck dropped. Luongo later said, "I hear the play starting in the arena, so I panicked. I don't remember if I wiped. Sabourin made 5 clutch saves before Luongo sprinted back onto the ice. It's one thing to lose in the playoffs. It's another to join the team that beat you and then watch them raise a banner for it. Paul Stastny signed with the Golden Knights just months after they knocked his Winnipeg Jets out of the Western Conference Final. Then came opening night. Vegas raised the banner, and Stastny had to stand on the ice watching 18,000 fans cheer for the moment that ended his Cup dreams. January 21st, 2025. The Capitals were leading the Oilers 3-1. Then, nachos happened. A fan hurled a tray of nachos onto the ice. The cheesy mess supposedly distracted goalie Logan Thompson. Corey Perry seized the moment and scored. The referees reviewed the play but let the goal stand, ruling the nachos hadn't interfered with the puck or players. Sometimes a little sleight of hand makes all the difference. In overtime against the Blackhawks, Jets forward Nelson Emerson intercepted a clearing attempt from goalie Ed Belfour and made history for all the wrong reasons.
Belfour clears it around the boards. It hit a Jet player, went in the net. Oh, that can't be a goal. That did not go in. That came out of his glove, I thought.
Instead of playing the puck legally, he held the puck in his glove and dropped it into the empty net. Chicago lost their minds. Replay couldn't overturn it. The Jets won 1-0 thanks to the weirdest goal in NHL history. Which moment was your favorite? Or did your team do something even weirder? Drop it in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more chaos on ice.